We are ready to go for the next discipline, show jumpers, which is sponsored by Equitation, and we'll tell you about this competition and each of the horses and riders. But we have the first horse in the arena and jumping at 3-3, Interactive Spy. Interactive Spy is ridden by Morgan Boyer from Stokesdale, North Carolina. We're back on the live stream here on USCF Network and the Facebook and websites for Retired Racehorse Project, and the finale that we're seeing for show jumpers, similar to the format for eventing, obviously different jumps, but the flat work and then the jump around. And Morgan on Interactive Spy is jumping at 3-3, and then the other competitors will jump 2-6. 3-3 for a horse so quickly off the track is incredible.
Yeah, and we give them the choice because we want people to be able to go at a level that they're comfortable at, but and they get a little bit of a point advantage for jumping higher, but it's almost nothing. So some people can show their horse off at a higher level of jumping, and some people show them off better at smaller jumps.
This is a horse who's 5 years old, bred in Louisiana, made 3 career starts in Louisiana in 2016. Competed in eventing and show jumpers, and now the whistle and into the jump around, which includes 11 obstacles.
So keep in mind that this is not a jumper class where you get points off for rails and you try to go fast. This is being judged in the same manner that the International Jumper Futurity judges talent. This judges training to be a show jumper. How well these trainers have prepared these horses. So a young thoroughbred off the track that's going to be a big show jumper is not going to be racing at breakneck speed over little jumps. We think that ruins them. So
over the combination at 4 and having to go by the gates at the end of the arena to the Purina vertical at 5. And now switching to the TCA jump at 7.
So you can see why she chose show jumping for this horse, as it's discipline. A lot of these horses choose their discipline, and they show the trainers what they're good at. That's why they don't announce their disciplines until close to the competition, and this horse is very careful.
We'll finish up at the end of the arena with 2 imposing oxers to close out the round.
So she pulled that rail, which is not going to help her in the judging. But it's not that the horse was lazy. I mean, they're looking and they saw, well, she got in a little bit tight, and the horse's back was a little tense when she got there, so he wasn't able to bascule over the fence, and that's what she got knocked down for.
Interactive Spy and Morgan Boyer from Stokesdale, North Carolina. The format for the finals for show jumping is sponsored by Equitation. The flat work at the start of the round, and then the jump around that includes 11 obstacles for the course that was designed by David Lohman. And David Lohman is one of the judges, along with Nancy George.
So to make it like a jumper class, we have a second round, which would be like a jump off. And again, they're still being judged as opposed to time, but they want They have to show the judge that the horse can make tight turns and go briskly without losing its form, without losing its composure.
So tighter turns to what was the 4th jump in the first round, but comes up quicker here in the simulated jump off.
So as you can see, this course is more like a course you would have in a jump off with those turns. But still, she's demonstrating that she's trained her horse to be a show jumper.
Goes a little bit deeper to approach what was jump number 8, and now finishing up with the Oxer, which was the final jump previously. So the second jump off simulation round for Morgan Boyer and Interactive Spy, jumping at 3-3. The rest of the finalists for show jumping will be jumping at 2-6. Interactive Spy, a 5-year-old gelding bred in Louisiana, raced in Louisiana at Louisiana Downs, and actually won the final race of his career back in July of 2016, but has been off the track since, and now being trained by Morgan Boyer from Stokesville, North Carolina, who says has been around off the track thoroughbreds her entire life and now focuses on training others, particularly teenagers, with their own off the track thoroughbreds. This horse competed in eventing and in show jumpers, and now we'll have a course change as we change the heights from the 3'3" height that Morgan and Interactive Spy did to 2'6" for the remaining of the finalists. Now they're on the cover of Off Track Thoroughbred magazine, and now they're in the arena, and we turn it over to Cosmic One and Isabella De Sousa. And on the live stream, we bring back Stuart Pittman from Retired Racehorse Project as we watch Cosmic One, and this horse has attracted so much attention from the racing world, being out of the Champion Dam Zenyatta and training with one of the best, Isabella De Sousa. And Stuart, you've gotten to know Isabella and her family so well at the Thoroughbred Makeover. What have they meant to the Thoroughbred Makeover, this 3-time jumping champion, Isabella?
Well, it's a fantastic story. I love it when the juniors beat the professionals, and the fact that Isabella has done it 3 times is amazing. And the family's great. Her dad runs a thoroughbred operation here in Kentucky, and so he's got some connections, and he finds some pretty cool horses through his connections. But Isabella does all the work, and she's got way more patience than the average young person. And she's in the hunter jumper world, where a lot of young people get expensive horses that are trained, and then they go out and they show. And Isabella's riding these horses, and she can do anything she wants in the horse world after this.
Isabella's mom is a vet as well.
Yeah, so of course they were hoping this horse would be a great racehorse, which he was not, but he's a pretty cool horse. Got in a little tight there.
So the way that Isabella came to work with Cosmic One, it was her family approaching the Mosses about this potential to be part of the Thoroughbred Makeover and creating that partnership between the race world and the sport horse world. Now it looks like he's starting to settle in.
He looks like a very laid-back horse to me.
This
He
horse
obviously didn't really want to win races, and you know, he's not the most careful guy over fences, but he's a really, really kind horse.
He's taking a good look at the fences as he approaches them, and still new to his new job, but has the look and the raw potential to be something really special.
Yeah, I think he's the kind of horse who will get better as he gets older. A lot of them get sharper as they learn their job, they develop. But having a good mind is the #1 ingredient for just about any sport.
Isabella De Sousa and Cosmic One finishing up their first jumper round. Tremendous partnership between the race world and sport horse world, with the Mosses continuing to be involved with this horse, and the horse having the potential for a very exciting new career with one of the best in Isabella De Sousa.
You can see some of the elegance of his mother.
Zenyatta was a Breeders' Cup champion who beat the boys in one of the most dramatic races really of all time, as announcers would say, would come from the clouds and kind of get your heart stopping when she got the motor going. And the sire, Bernardini, also a tremendous sire
very
as
tight
well.
there.
A good rub, but got over. And what are the judges looking for here? Because it's not, we've said, a traditional...
No, it's not scored on rails. It's scored on how well the horse has been trained to perform in this sport. But being able to adjust the horse's stride and keep it in balance and jump with a nice bascule, using its back, using its top line, staying relaxed, is all part of what we train for. So the performance and the quality of the training are the same.
Cosmic One and Isabella De Sousa. Tremendous journey for this horse from the race world to the sport horse world, and you can read their story, the cover story, on Off Track Thoroughbred magazine, the official program of the TCA Thoroughbred Makeover. Cosmic One has been featured in coverage of the Thoroughbred Makeover on TVG, the Horse Racing Television Network, and NBC Sports Group also covering the Thoroughbred Makeover as part of their Breeders' Cup coverage. And America's Most Wanted Thoroughbred will be honored in a special Winner's Circle ceremony at the Breeders' Cup at Churchill Downs this year. Next to go will be a horse that has already placed in the top 10 in eventing. And we are going to see Red 36. Red 36 is a 4-year-old young gray gelding, bred here in Kentucky and had a short-lived 3-race career in Indiana, never finishing better than 6th, has been off track since last October, and now with Ashley Van Camp, an amateur rider from Southern Pines, North Carolina. Ashley recently getting back into the show horse world through her son, getting to share that experience, saying we both love thoroughbreds and currently have 4 competing, and 3 of them who are retired. Grew up riding Hunter Jumpers, but has been focusing more on eventing, again, mostly because of her son. So much different breeding on this horse compared to the regally bred Bernardini and Zenyatta Baby Cosmic 1, Red 36. Still a solid sire of Fleet Alex, and out of the Irish bred dam Calcara, who goes back to the sire Desert King. Stuart, your thoughts on this pair here?
I'm curious to see how he jumps.
So here we go with Red 36. Be interested to know how this horse got his name, because he's a gray horse. We have horses representing trainers at the Thoroughbred Makeover from 35 different states. North Carolina is one of about 10 states that has sent 20 or more riders to the Thoroughbred Makeover. And there are riders in the Thoroughbred Makeover who hail internationally from Canada, and we've had riders in the past coming all the way from Great Britain. So we started with eventing with Reloaded and Elisa Wallace, and now into the show jumpers. This is such a young horse, Stuart, and young horses, they can get tense by all the new things being thrown at them. So what are some tips you'd give for managing a young, perhaps tense horse through this crazy environment that they're thrown into here?
Well, some of them are born with temperaments that are more distracted and less well grounded. This horse to me looks like he's pretty focused. I mean, he's flat. He's you know, the hind end isn't coming up quite like some of the others. He doesn't lift his back in the same way, but that doesn't necessarily mean not a good jumper. But I think this one's got a good brain, and you know, he just seems like a steady Eddie to me.
Going through a good rhythm over the Purina vertical at 5, and now bending back to 6.
Doing a nice job there. Yeah. You can see I like the way this horse's ears are always looking for what's next. Very focused. And you almost get the sense that this horse sees his distances to the jumps, and he's got his head up, his ears forward, and very aware of what's coming.
He's got a combination to finish up the first round.
Yeah. Well done.
Red 36 and Ashley Van Camp. And Ashley, an amateur rider who grew up riding Hunter Jumpers, but getting back into the show world through her son, and competed in eventing with Red 36, finishing in the top 10 and getting into eventing because of her son, and saying that the passion that they share together. We both love thoroughbreds, and they currently have 4 competing and 3 retired. So now we'll transition into the next round for Red 36 and Ashley Van Camp.
So this horse is built a little bit more downhill than some, a little high behind, and which makes you think a little more quarter horse-like and not ideal as a jumper, dressage horse, or event horse. But the neat thing about these horses is that I think they have such great minds that almost any shape can get the job done. I mean, they're all bred to be athletes, and this is a really nice horse.
Speaking of any shape, the off-the-track thoroughbreds come in a variety of shapes and sizes. What are some of the more unique shapes, perhaps some of the smaller ones that
Well, when we see polo, we'll see some of the smaller ones, and we'll see some of the ones that are built more downhill. Same with the Western disciplines, work and ranch. They're looking for something completely different than what the jumpers and eventers and dressage people look for. But these horses surprise us. They'll do anything. They try.
And now the oxer, and will come back towards what was number 8 in the first round before finishing up with the oxer at the end of the arena. Got the change and set that one up well. Yeah, you can see how the horse sets up the distance as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is a horse you put your kid on and say, go learn to ride. And he's a young horse.
Ashley Van Camp and Red 36 came in 4th place into the finals. And we have 2 riders to go. And earlier we heard from Pat Chapman, the breeder of the next horse, Chain of Events, who's sired by Pat's most famous horse and one of the most famous horses of our generation, Smarty Jones, the dominant Kentucky Derby and Preakness winner in 2004. Well, his offspring, Chain of Events, had a short-lived racing career as a Pennsylvania bred and ran just 10 times with 2 wins, and now has been retrained by Erica Eggert from Southampton, New Jersey. And Pat has taken so much thrill in being involved with Chain of Events and getting to meet Erica Eggert. And here we go, Erica Eggert and Chain of Events. Erica competed in last year's Thoroughbred Makeover as well with the horse Robin's Revenge. Stuart, I really enjoy seeing the thrill of the thrill of some of the racing connections, being able to follow their horses off the track. And when you started this idea, what was the reaction of the race world to the idea of Retired Racehorse Project and the makeover?
It varied. We started in Maryland, and the Maryland racing industry in Maryland, they were used to people retraining these horses for second careers, both as a business and for pleasure as a hobby. But there were some in racing who didn't trust the marketplace and weren't sure that having these horses taken by professionals and amateurs to retrain and then resell was the right thing to do. They were worried about the future of their horses, well-intentioned. And what people have proven, I think, is that there are really good people in the horse industry, and they want to do right by horses. And they come in, all disciplines. And what's great about this is that we brought a lot of them together, and they're proving that that they really do take care of these animals.
And the numbers prove it. There's a marketplace here at the makeover this year receiving a grant from ASPCA, and in 2016 average price in the marketplace was $8,000. It went up to $9,800 last year, and before the competition even started, there was a lot of attention on this year's marketplace with a horse that was sold before even competing at this year's makeover, and that went for $14,000.
Well, a lot of them that don't make it to the makeover, it's because somebody bought them.
Exactly,
Or,
because they're
you know,
already.
some of them get hurt, or some of them, you know, different things happen. But you know, the rules require that they let us know if they're not going to come and what happened to the horse, and you know, we make sure that to the extent that we can, that the horse still has a soft landing wherever it goes. But a lot of them get sold, and the more they sell for, the better, because if these horses have value, then good people will retrain them. And it costs a lot of money to take a horse and train it for a year. There's no way around that. And if you don't train the horse, the market is very small. So I would like to see all these horses getting sold for the same amount of money the European imports get sold for. You know, increased demand.
Closer, yeah.
Right? That's how it works.
This horse has been really going after it, and after the hit at 6, came out at 7, but now takes the
that
GCA
line is set
vertical.
up to test them. You know, can they jump that oxer and land at enough balance to be able to make a slight turn and a little bit of an angle to get to 7? And if they jump badly over the oxer and they're disorganized, 7 just ain't there.
It's almost like a figure 8 from 4 to 5 and then back to 6, and then having to get that line to 7.
So
Got
she's
in a little
half
tight.
stride there, yeah.
Chain of Events and Erica Eggert with one more round to go. This pair, in addition to jumpers, competed in show hunters as well. And the bloodlines for these retired racehorses fantastic. Cosmic One and now Chain of Events, sired by Smarty Jones and bred by Pat Chapman, who's watching with a lot of joy here at the offspring that she helped produce, who is now as a successful jumper. So they go from their flat work to their first round, and we'll get their second round going. The judges are Nancy George and David Lohman, and David Lohman was the course designer. He's a USEF-R judge for hunters and hunter jumper equitation. This is a horse that, from the first round, this is the type of round, the jump-off round, where I think he's going to excel.
Yeah, sometimes when they sharpen up in the jump-off and they jump better. But the reason that we don't do it for speed is that you'll see with some of these that when they do get a little quick, they start to want to really run, and then all the old habits come back, and they get much more difficult to ride, and that's when they start pulling rails.
And they sail over the final oxer. This pair, Erica Eggert and Chain of Events.
Nice horse. So for people who are just tuning in, every one of these horses had to qualify by having raced in the previous year before the beginning of the competition, and cannot have started training before a year ago. Well, December 1st, actually. So none of them have had more than a year of training in a second career. And some of them, it's been more like 6 months because they got them late in the year. So these are very, very green, we say, horses.
Next to go in the jumpers here at the Thoroughbred Makeover finale, Huzzah. Huzzah is ridden by Nicola Fry from right here in Lexington. One of several horses in the competition, sired by Congrats, the most represented sire in this year's Thoroughbred Makeover. And Huzzah is a young 4-year-old bay gelding who won one career race as a 3-year-old last year at Turfway Park in Kentucky.
So this horse is lighter in front. We talked about one earlier that was a bit high behind and heavy on the forehand. And this horse almost looks like it floats when it canters. And that should bode well for its jumping, but again, you can train him well, you can train him badly, so we'll see. I'm sure this one was trained well or it wouldn't be in the finale.
When forming the format for the jumper category, to put in this flat work portion of it, what was the thought behind saying, hey, we're not just going to send you out to jump, but show what you got as a foundation?
Yeah, well, we didn't want, it's a training competition, and the basics, the foundation of the jumping is the flat work. And so showing the judge some of that before you jump gives the judge an opportunity to see whether you've done your homework. And the preliminary round before they came in here also had a short grid that they had to trot into to show that the horse was schooled properly and could trot a fence and trot through a grid. We see, in my view, too many thoroughbreds in jumper classes, usually at smaller local shows, trying to win the class by winning the jump off. And the jumps are small and the horse is running and jumping flat. And that doesn't create a good foundation for a horse that can move on and happily jump larger courses later.
Nicola tapping the horse on the shoulder, getting over number 2 and setting up a good rhythm here to the oxer at 3.
That last fence, you could see how the horse just rocked back and pushed off, was light in front. So that beautiful canter we saw is showing up over the fences.
And now here's that challenging line from 6 to 7, picked up the change over the jump.
So she was able to hold for a distance at that number 6 oxer because the horse was so nicely balanced and was able to wait and shorten about 3 or 4 strides in a row rather than just shorten the last one.
Came in a little strong to the previous one, and now with 3 more to jump. Nicola checking the horse onto the last line, puts in a good check there, and
not enough though.
Not enough. That's a handful there. Huzzah and Nicola Fry, and this pair also competed in show hunters. And last year, Nicola was a 2017 champion in thoroughbred hunters in the USAJA Zone 5 aboard the Thoroughbred Ray. Of all the top racing sires in the United States from last year, 14 of the top 20 racing sires represented with entrants here at the Thoroughbred Makeover, the most common of which is Congrats with 6 entrants at the Makeover. And now we turn it back to Huzzah and Nicola Fry for their jump-off simulated round. So after the show jumpers, we'll have the show hunters. And the variety that we're going to be seeing later on this afternoon, if you're just tuning in addition to the English disciplines that we'll continue to see with the field hunters and dressage, well, then we'll get into a freestyle round where really anything goes, and we had some amazing crowd-pleasing freestyle performances in prelims yesterday, and then finishing up with the Western disciplines, barrel racing, competitive trail, and ranch work before crowning America's Most Wanted Thoroughbred, which this year you all can be part of through text message voting and having to choose between the winners of each of the 10 disciplines. Nicola talking to the horses. They make it over the vertical oxer combination. Now, do horses get into habit forming? Because normally it would go 6 to 7. It's like, we're going to do that next one. But actually, you got to go around it. How do horses process when you throw something new at them?
Yeah. Happy with that. Yeah, if you've gone through a line like that, second time through, they're going to be looking at that second fence thinking they're going to do that again.
Pat on the back by Nicola Fry with Huzzah, the young 4-year-old. Huzzah wrapping up the show jumper round, and now judges will tabulate the scores, and we will crown the winner of show jumping, sponsored by Equitation. As we wait for the show jump award winners to come back into the arena, we'll announce one of the state bred winners and the Maryland bred award for the top scoring makeover horse bred in Maryland. It's sponsored by Judy Hartman's Copper Beach Stable. This year's top Maryland bred who competed in Show Hunters is bridle number 530, Tis That, a 4-year-old gelding sired by Tiz Way, and amateur Carolyn Newbill rode Tis That to a successful Thoroughbred Makeover performance in Show Hunters, the most successful for any of the Maryland breds, and winning the Maryland Bred Award is Tis That. We welcome back into the arena the show jumpers, and we'll recognize the top 10. And we'll have Pat Chapman, who was the breeder of Smarty Jones, the Kentucky Derby winner, and one of the horses in the finals for Show Jumpers chain of events, as the breeder will help present the awards for the top 10 in show jumping, and first recognizing places 10 through 6. In 10th place, we had bridle number 289, Don't Knock It, good name for a jumper horse, ridden by Aubrey Graham. Ninth place was bridle number 123, Minister's Hutch, and Michelle Markley. In 8th place, bridle number 245, Bourbon City, and Sarah Shade. In 7th place, bridle number 131, Moolah Run, and Katie Haas. Sixth place, a horse we saw in the top 5 in eventing, bridle number 538, Turcomany, and Kate Samuels. And now to the top 5 that we saw in the finale this morning. In 5th place, bridle number 274, Cosmic One, with Isabella De Sousa, who also wins the award as the top junior rider. 4th place, bridle number 263, Chain of Events, and Erica Egger. Third place went to bridle number 456, Red 36, and Ashley Van Camp. In second place, bridle number 338, Huzzah and Nicola Fry, also winning the top amateur. And the 2018 jumper champion at the Thoroughbred Makeover is bridle number 354, Interactive Spy and Morgan Boyer. Winning the $5,000 prize, plus also the coolers from Horseware and Godolphin, and the Back on Track gift cards, bell boots, and set of tribute equine polos. So, reloaded in eventing, the first Thoroughbred Makeover champion for 2018, joined by Interactive Spy, who jumped 3-3. And we'll be back later on this afternoon to attempt to be America's most wanted thoroughbred. The next discipline that we'll transition to is the Show Hunters, that is presented by XL Equine. And we'll see the top 5 in the finale, who will be performing under saddle and over fences. And their scores will be added to their prelim scores. The judges for Show Hunters, Carrie Damer and Sissy Wicks. And we'll see each of the 5 finalists on the flat, and then they'll be over fences as part of the finale.